Hello and welcome back to section 9.4. This is a video over equations of lines, okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to, given an equation in the form y equals mx plus b, we're going to be able to find the slope and the y-intercept, and we're going to find the equation of a line when the slope and the y-intercept are given. Okay, we're going to find the equation of a line when the slope of the point and the line are given, and we're going to find the equation of a line when 2 points of the line are given. So, but what we're really concerned about here is using the point, or using this equation of y equals mx plus b. Okay, this is what I call slope-intercept form. Okay, where my m is my slope, and my b value is my y-intercept. Okay, and remember the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, and that's that. So what I want to do, writing the equation of a line from standard form. So what I want to do is I want to put these equations into slope-intercept form. Okay, and so what I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to solve each of these equations for y. All right, let me write that over here. I'm going to solve these for y. So solve for y. All right, so what I've got is this. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides of my equation here. All right. And that's going to give me negative 3y is equal to negative 2x plus 8. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. Okay, and so when I divide those by negative 3, the 3's divide out, and so I get y is equal to positive 2/3, because two negatives divide out make me a positive. So 2/3 x, and then minus 8/3. Okay, and what I can gather from this, so this is in, this equation here is in standard form, meaning that x and y are on the same side. Okay, and this is in slope-intercept form. Okay, and what I want to do from here is I want to identify my slope and my y-intercept. Okay, my slope m is equal to 2/3. My y-intercept b is equal to negative 8/3. And that's all I'm doing, is identifying those. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do when it's already in slope-intercept form, but I want to do this in a way where they're just in, where I just identify them from this. Okay, all right, let's take a look at this one over here. And so what I'm going to do, same thing, I'm going to solve this equation for y. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. 3x's cancel out. I'm going to get 4y is equal to negative 3x and then plus 15. If I divide that by 4, divide by 4, and divide by 4, I get that y is equal to negative 3/4 x plus 15/4. Okay, so now this is solved for y, and I can identify my slope, m, which is equal to negative 3/4, and then my y-intercept b is equal to 15/4. Okay, and that's it. That's all I'm looking for on that. All right, so that's that. Okay, so now what I have here is I want to write the equation of a line given a slope and a point. Okay, so here what I'm given is a slope of 3 that contains the point 4, 1. Okay, so my slope m is equal to 3. Okay, and I have the point 4, 1. Now, anytime I have a point like this, what I have is an x value and a y value. So what I have is this. I have x is equal to 4, and I have that y is equal to 1. Now, what I have when I have a slope and a point is I have the equation y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I have almost all the information I need to write this equation, okay? But what I have is I have a y value, I have an x value, and I have an m value. The only value I don't have is b. But I can use the slope and a point to help me solve for that value b. So what I do is I take 1 and I plug it in for y. So I get 1 here is equal to my slope of 3 times x, which is 4, and then plus b. So what I have is I now have this equation that I can solve for b to find my y-intercept. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I've just got 1 is equal to 12 plus b. Okay, I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides, and I end up getting that negative 11 is equal to b. So with this relationship here, I've got negative 11 is equal to b. This is my y-intercept. Okay, this value here is my slope. So using y equals mx plus b, I can substitute my value of 3 into my equation here. So I get y is equal to 3x, and then, so I have my slope, and I have my y-intercept, and I can plug in negative 11 for that, and this is my equation, and we're done. Okay? So not too terrible, but it is, you know, a little bit of algebra. All right? Let's try another one over here. Okay, slope of negative 5 contains the point negative 2, 3. So I know that my slope m is equal to negative 5. I know that my x value for this point is negative 2. I know that my y value is equal to 3. Using y equals mx plus b, okay, I'm going to plug in 3 for my y value, and that's going to equal m, which is negative 5, okay, and then x, which is negative 2, okay, and then add b to that. So now I'm just going to solve this equation for b. So negative 5 times negative 2 gives me positive 10 plus b, and that's equal to 3. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, and so I end up getting that negative 7 is equal to b, okay, and that's my equation. Okay, so b equals negative 7, m equals negative 5, and so I have my equation of y equals mx plus b. Plugging those values in, I get y is equal to negative 5x minus 7, and that's my answer. That's my equation. All right, so not too terrible, not too bad. But now we have to make a little jump here, and we have to do this when writing the equation of a line given just 2 points. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my slope formula, and I'm going to write that up here just so to remind us. M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay, and so from here, using 2, 3, and negative 2, 2, I'm going to call this x sub 2, y sub 2, or I'm sorry, let's use that as 1, x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So my slope formula is going to end up giving me 2 y sub 2 minus y sub 1, so 2 minus 3, over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, so that's negative 2 minus 2. All right, so if I do 2 minus 3, that's going to give me negative 1, and then negative 2 minus 2 is going to give me negative 4. So if I have a negative divided by a negative, it's going to give me a positive, so I've got that m is equal to positive 1/4. All right, and that's my slope. So what I have to do, if I'm given 2 points, I can calculate my slope, but now what I have to do is I have to figure out, you know, which point do I want to use. Okay, it doesn't matter. I have to choose now which point I want to use to help me write my equation. Now, typically what I do is I choose positive numbers. It won't matter which one we use, so I'm just going to use the first one. So I'm going to use the first point, so my m is 1/4, and then I have the point 2, comma 2. All right, so that means that x is equal to 2, and that y is equal to 2. All right, or it should be 2, 3, not 2, 2. So this is 2, 3. Change that to a 3. All right, so now, all right, with that, I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. All right, so I'm going to substitute 3 in for y. So I get 3 is equal to 1/4, which is m, times x, which is 2, and then plus b. Now what I need to do is solve this for b. Now we're going to be dealing with fractions, so make sure that you're able to operate with fractions, because you will encounter this quite a bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to multiply across my fractions. 1 times 2 gives me 2. 4 times 1 gives me 4 plus b, and that's equal to 3. To simplify 2 over 4, that's really just 1/2. So I've got 3 is equal to 1/2 plus b. Now I'm just solving this equation for b. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 1/2. Subtract this by 1/2. And so the 1/2s cancel out. I have 3 minus 1/2, which is going to end up giving me 3 over 1 minus 1/2 is equal to b. Let's get a common denominator of 2. So I'm going to get 6/2 minus 1/2, which is going to give me b, and that's going to give me 5/2. Okay, so all those things where we added and subtracted fractions, all those skills that we had learned prior, guys, we need to be able to use those. Okay, and so if you're struggling with this, go back to those sections where we added and subtracted fractions. Okay, and solve those equations. Solving one-step equations using fractions. All right, so now I've solved for b. My value for b is 5/2. My slope is 1/4. So my equation m, or not my equation m, my equation y equals mx plus b, okay, we're just going to write is y equals 1/4 x plus 5/2. And that's that. That's my equation, okay? So there we go. All right, let's go ahead and try this next one of 2, 4, and then 3, 5. So first things first, I want to calculate my slope. I'm going to call this x1, y1, call this x2, y2. All right, and then, so let's plug those into my slope formula. So my slope m is equal to 5 minus 4 over 3 minus 2. All right, and this one's a little bit easier. Okay, 5 minus 4 is going to give me 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 divided by 1 is just going to give me 1. Okay, now to choose, the points that we want, it doesn't matter which one we choose. Okay, typically I choose the first one, depending on the numbers. Typically I choose the small numbers, and positive small numbers. Okay, so we're dealing with 2 and 4. So using the point 2, 4, I know that my x value from that point is 2. I know that my y value from that point is 4. Okay, so using y equals mx plus b, okay, what I've got, I'm going to plug in 4 for y is equal to my slope, which is 1, times 2, and then plus b. All right, so now I've got 4 is equal to 2 plus b. All right, so subtract 2 from both sides. All right, 2 minus 2 is 0, so 4 minus 2 is just going to give me 2. So 2 is equal to b. This one's much easier than the other one. Okay, and so what I have using y equals mx plus b, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 1 for x, or 1 for m, and then 2 for b. All right, so I've got y is equal to 1 times x, and then plus 2. So then if I do 1 times x, 1 times any number is just that number. So I'm going to do y is just equal to then x plus 2, and that's my answer. Y equals x plus 2. All right. And when I see that tells me that I have a slope of 1. When there's no number in front of the x, it's a 1, okay, and that's what our slope is. All right, so that's it on this one. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Just identifying, the slope and y-intercept from those points. Okay, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.